The ballroom lights were blinding, reflecting off the gold-trimmed pillars in a way that made my head ache. I straightened my cuffs, feeling the weight of the last 10 years pressing down on my shoulders. I had been the one to stay up until 3 in the morning, helping Serena rehearse her presentations. I was the one who managed the house, the bills, and the chaos, so she could focus on her ascent. "Do I look okay?" I asked, stepping closer to her. Serena didn't look at me. She was busy scanning the crowd, her eyes sharp and predatory. "Fine, Elias. You look fine. Have you seen Miles?" He was supposed to have the press packets ready by the entrance. "I haven't seen him," I said, trying to catch her gaze. "But I wanted to say congratulations. Executive Vice President. We did it." "I did it," she corrected, her voice cool. "And Miles helped." "Aw, there he is." Miles Hart approached us like he owned the floor. He was younger, dressed in a suit that cost more than my first car, and he had a smile that never quite reached his eyes when he looked at me. "Serena," Miles said, ignoring me entirely. "The board is ready for the toast. The investors are buzzing. You're the star of the night." "Thank you, Miles," she said, her voice softening in a way it hadn't for me in months. "I couldn't have navigated those final negotiations without you." "It's my job to make sure you shine," he replied. We moved toward the stage. I tried to walk beside her, but she stepped ahead, trailing behind Miles as he cleared a path through the crowd. When she took the microphone, the room went silent. 10 years ago, I started with a vision, Serena told the audience. It took grit, late nights, and people who truly understood the mission. I want to thank one person in particular who was my anchor through the hardest months of this transition. Miles Hart, thank you for being the reason I survived this year. The applause was deafening. I stood at the edge of the stage, my hands shoved deep into my pockets. I waited for my name. I waited for a glance. It never came. As she stepped down, a photographer beckoned us over. "Mrs. Cole, a photo with a husband." I stepped forward, reaching out to place my hand on her waist. It was a natural gesture, something I'd done 1,000 times. Serena stiffened. She leaned away from my touch as if I were covered in ash. "Not now, Elias," she hissed under her breath. "You're making it awkward. This is a professional moment." "I'm your husband," I whispered back, my face burning. "Then act like a supportive one and stay out of the frame," she said. She turned back to the camera with a perfect practice smile. "Miles, come here. Let's get one of the team." Miles stepped in, his hand lingering just a second too long on her shoulder. He looked at me over his shoulder and smirked. It wasn't a smile of triumph. It was a smile of possession. I walked away. I needed air. I found myself in the quiet hallway leading to the private lounges. I was about to head toward the balcony when I heard voices near the alcove. "You were incredible up there," Miles said. "I meant what I said," Serena replied. Her voice was low, intimate. "You understand me more than he does. He doesn't see the world the way we do. He's a weight, Serena. You're flying now. You don't need a weight." "I know," she whispered. My stomach turned. I didn't stay to hear the rest. I walked straight to the parking valet, pulled the car around, and waited. When she finally emerged 20 minutes later, she climbed into the passenger seat and sighed, closing her eyes. "That was a success," she said. I pulled out of the driveway, the silence in the car thick enough to choke on. "Was it?" "Don't start," she said. "Am I still your husband, Serena? Or am I just your driver? Or maybe just the guy who keeps the bed warm while you and Miles navigate the mission together?" She snapped her eyes open, glaring at me. "Don't start drama tonight, Elias. I am exhausted, and I just reached the pinnacle of my career. I don't have the energy for your insecurities." "Insecurities?" You pushed my hand away like I was a stranger. You credited him for everything I've supported you through for a decade. Miles worked for me. He understands the pressure I'm under. You just sit at home and judge me because I've outgrown this little life you envisioned for us. I supported you, I shouted, my grip tightening on the wheel. "And I pay the mortgage," she screamed back. "Just drive a car, Elias. We'll talk when you're being rational." I didn't say another word. The rest of the drive was a cold void. When we pulled into our driveway, she didn't wait for me. She marched inside, leaving me to lock up. I walked through the front door, feeling like a guest in a house I had helped build. I went to the master bathroom to splash cold water on my face, needing to wash the night off my skin. I opened the vanity cabinet to grab my toothpaste. That's when I saw it. Sitting in the marble holder next to Serena's electric toothbrush was another one. It was a new, expensive model, still shimmering with a metallic finish. It wasn't mine. Mine was the blue plastic one sitting in the drawer. I picked it up. It was damp. I looked at the reflection of the hallway behind me, waiting for Serena to appear and give me another lie to swallow. But the house was silent, and the second toothbrush felt like a lead weight in my hand. I wasn't just losing my wife. I had already been replaced. Ever since the promotion night, Miles stopped being just a name and started being a presence. Elias, I'll be late, Serena said 3 nights later, pacing our bedroom with her phone pressed to her ear. Miles and I have to fix the quarterly projections before morning. It's 9, I said. You've been at the office since 7. That's what executives do. That's what married people talk about first, I replied. She exhaled sharply. You don't understand my world. There it was. The line she'd been using like a door slammed in my face. I'm trying to, I said, but you don't let me in. I don't have time to babysit your feelings, she answered. We'll talk this weekend. We didn't. That Saturday turned into an urgent work trip. It's just overnight, she told me while packing. Miles booked the flights. Miles again. Yes, Miles again. He's my assistant, Elias. That's his job. And your job is to forget you're married? She zipped the suitcase hard. You're being dramatic. I'm being replaced. She laughed once, humorless. By an assistant? Please. After she left, I called Caleb. He showed up with takeout and a look I couldn't read. So, he said, dropping onto the couch. Tell me everything. I told him about the toothbrush, about the hallway whisper, about the way she said I didn't understand her world. Caleb leaned back, shaking his head. Bro, she's training you. Training me? Yeah, training you to accept disrespect. Every time she crosses a line and you stay quiet, she pushes it further. I'm not staying quiet. You are, he said. You're still there. I stared at the wall. What am I supposed to do? Walk away from 10 years. 10 years doesn't mean you owe her 10 more of being humiliated. I didn't answer, because part of me still believed this was a phase. A power high, something that would burn out. It didn't. The next week, she came home early, almost cheerful. I invited Miles to dinner tomorrow, she said, slipping off her heels. I blinked. You what? He's been working nonstop. It's the least we can do. We? Yes, we. He's part of my team. This is our house, and I'm allowed to host my team in it. You didn't ask me. She gave me a tight smile. I'm telling you now. The next evening, I set the table in silence. I placed 3 plates down, the third feeling like a betrayal under my fingertips. When the doorbell rang, Serena rushed to answer it before I could move. Miles, she said brightly. Come in. He stepped inside with a bottle of expensive wine. I didn't want to arrive empty-handed. How thoughtful, she replied. I walked over slowly. Miles. Elias, he said smoothly, extending his hand. His grip was firm, calculated. Beautiful home you have. We built it together, I said, glancing at Serena. She avoided my eyes. Dinner's ready. At the table, Miles sat across from me, but angled toward her. Every story he told ended with her laughing. Remember that client dinner in Boston? He said. You handled that investor like a chess master. Serena grinned. You saved me with that data pull. I just anticipate your needs, he replied softly. I set my fork down. So, Miles, do you anticipate all her needs? Serena shot me a warning look. Elias. What? I said. I'm making conversation. Miles smiled thinly. Serena and I just work well together. That's obvious, I replied. After dinner, I pulled Serena into the kitchen while Miles stepped onto the patio to take a call. This has to stop, I said quietly. What is the emotional affair happening in my dining room? She stared at me, then laughed. Actually laughed. You're jealous of an assistant? I'm your husband, and you're acting insecure. I'm asking for boundaries. There are boundaries, she snapped. You're just too small-minded to see professional ambition without sexualizing it. That's not fair. No, what's not fair is me grinding for a decade and coming home to accusations. I'm asking you to respect our marriage. She folded her arms. Maybe if you were more supportive instead of suspicious, I wouldn't need to lean on my team so much. Her words hit like glass. I stepped back. I've been nothing but supportive. She didn't respond. She walked back to the patio and opened the door. Everything okay? Miles asked her. Fine, she said, just calming irrational fears. I stood alone in my kitchen, listening to them murmur outside. Later that night, after Miles finally left, I sat on the edge of the bed while Serena removed her earrings. Do you even hear yourself? I asked. I hear a jealous man spiraling. I hear my wife drifting. She turned off the lamp. Go to sleep, Elias. My phone buzzed in the dark. It was my mother. I stepped into the hallway to answer. Hey, Mom. Hi, sweetheart, she said gently. Are you okay? The question almost broke me. Of course. Why wouldn't I be? I don't know, she replied. A mother feels things. I'm fine, I lied. Work's just busy for Serena. There was a pause. Remember your worth, she said softly. I will. After we hung up, I headed back toward the bedroom. The door was slightly open. Serena was inside, but she wasn't alone on the phone. I stopped when I heard Miles's voice faintly through the speaker. You sure he didn't suspect anything? He asked. He suspects everything, Serena replied. But he won't do anything. That's risky. She sighed. If I had met you earlier, my life would be easier. Silence filled my ears. My hand stayed frozen on the doorframe as my world shifted again, this time without warning. I didn't yell the next morning. I didn't slam doors. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and let the silence harden inside me. Serena walked in wearing one of my old college shirts. You're quiet, she said. I'm thinking. About us. She poured herself coffee. Elias, I told you. Don't spiral. I'm not spiraling. She studied me like I was a puzzle she'd already solved. Good. I have meetings all day. We'll talk later. Sure, I said, but I was done talking in circles. By noon, I was sitting across from attorney Nina Park in a glass office downtown. She folded her hands. So, tell me what's going on. My wife is an executive, I said. Powerful, connected, careful. And you want a divorce? I want to know how to leave without losing everything. She didn't blink. Financially or reputationally? Both. Nina nodded slowly. Does she control the majority of the assets? She earns more. The house is in both our names. Any prenuptial agreement? No. She leaned back. Then your biggest risk isn't money. It's narrative. Narrative. If she senses you're leaving, she may try to frame you as unstable, jealous, financially irresponsible. I've seen it before. I thought about Serena's favorite word. Insecure. What do? I asked. Document facts, Nina said firmly. Not feelings. Dates. Transactions. Messages. Keep records. Stay calm. Do not confront her without strategy. I won't. She studied me carefully. Are you prepared for who she becomes when she realizes you're serious? I think I've already met that version. Good, she said. Then stop begging for respect and start preparing for separation. The word separation felt like stepping onto ice. That evening, I opened a private cloud folder. I uploaded photos of the second toothbrush, screenshots of late-night call logs, copies of bank statements. I wasn't looking for dirt. I was preserving reality. Serena came home earlier than usual. She placed her bag down gently and walked straight to me. Hey, she said softly. The sweetness in her voice made my shoulders tense. Hey, she sat beside me on the couch. You've been distant. I've been observant. She reached for my hand. I let her take it, though it felt foreign. Let's reset, she said. Okay. No more tension. No more suspicion. Don't throw us away. I searched her face. For a second, I saw the woman I married. The one who used to split street tacos with me at midnight and dream out loud about corner offices. I don't want to throw us away, I said quietly. Then don't, she replied. Trust me. Can I ask you something? Yes. If I had walked into that hallway at the hotel earlier, would I have heard something different? She didn't pull her hand away. You're stuck on that. Answer me. She sighed. I was venting. You took it out of context. And the toothbrush. It's a sample gift from a vendor. You're reaching. I wanted to believe her so badly, it almost hurt. I need transparency, I said. You have it, she insisted. You're just looking for betrayal. Later that week, I met Mason Ryu for lunch. I hadn't seen him in years. He used to mentor me at my first job, back when I had my own ambition. He clasped my shoulder. You look tired. I feel buried. By what? By her success. By her world. Mason nodded slowly. You stopped building your own. I was supporting hers. Support shouldn't require disappearance, he said calmly. I stared at my untouched food. I'm 38, and starting over sounds humiliating. You're not behind in life, Mason said. You're just buried under someone else's shadow. The words hit deeper than he knew. What if I leave and regret it? I asked. What if you stay and regret yourself? I didn't have an answer. When I got home that night, Serena was cooking. Cooking. She looked up and smiled. Thought I'd surprise you. With effort. I almost laughed. That's new. She walked over and wrapped her arms around me. I miss us. Do you? Yes, she whispered. I let myself hold her. For a moment, it felt real. We ate together. We watched a show. She rested her head on my shoulder like nothing had fractured. At 12:17 a.m., her phone buzzed. She shifted slightly. Don't, I said quietly. It might be important. Midnight. She hesitated, then picked up the phone and slid off the couch. Hello, she answered softly. Softly, like I wasn't 5 feet away. I stood and walked toward the hallway. I didn't try to hide my footsteps this time. I can't talk long, she whispered. Pause. No, he's here. Longer pause. I know. I need time. My chest felt hollow. She turned and saw me standing there. I'll call you tomorrow, she said quickly, and hung up. Was that your assistant? I asked. It was work. At midnight. Yes. In a whisper. She crossed her arms. You're doing it again. No, I said calmly. I'm done doing it. Doing what? Pretending. Her eyes flickered just for a second. The next morning, I forwarded more statements to Nina. 2 days later, she called me. Elias, she said, her tone sharper than usual. We need to talk. What happened? I found a clause in a corporate guarantor agreement tied to a new development project. I don't understand. Your name is listed as a personal guarantor. I went cold. For what? For a 7-figure business deal. I never signed anything. There was a pause. Elias, Nina said carefully, either your signature was authorized electronically or someone used your name without fully informing you. I packed one suitcase. Serena stood in the doorway, arms folded. So that's it? You're abandoning me during the most stressful quarter of my career. I'm moving out, I said calmly. Not disappearing. She laughed sharply. That's what people call it when a husband walks away. I'm not walking away. I'm stepping back. From your marriage. From the chaos. She shook her head. Unbelievable. After everything I've built, you choose now to crumble. I'm not crumbling, I replied. I'm choosing not to drown. By the end of the week, I was in a small 1-bedroom apartment across town. The walls were plain. The furniture was rented. The silence felt honest. Caleb came over with a duffel bag and a grin. All right, he said, clapping his hands. Rule number 1. No stalking her social media. I don't stalk. You autopsy, he corrected. You scroll like you're searching for a crime scene. I exhaled. Fine. No checking. Rule 2. Gym at 6 a.m. I'm dragging you if I have to. I hate 6 a.m. You hate being disrespected more. He wasn't wrong. The first week was brutal. My body ached. My mind kept replaying Serena's voice. But routine became oxygen. Wake up. Train. Work. Eat. Sleep. No spiraling. One night, I almost opened her profile. Caleb, sitting across from me, raised an eyebrow. Don't. I just want to see if she posted. Wound picking, he said flatly. I set the phone down. Meanwhile, the narrative spread. She's telling people you abandoned her, Caleb said carefully one evening. I figured. She's saying you couldn't handle her success. I swallowed. Maybe I couldn't handle the disrespect. You going to defend yourself? I thought about it. About long posts. Receipts. Screenshots. Then I heard Nina's voice in my head. Let results talk. No, I said. I'll let time do it. A week later, I met Mason at a quiet cafe. He studied me. You look different. I feel different. Good different. Terrified, but clear. He slid a folder across the table. Show me that old business plan you buried for her career. I hesitated. It's outdated. Let me decide that. I opened my laptop and pulled it up. Consulting model. Operational restructuring for mid-sized firms. The thing I had drafted years ago before deciding stability mattered more than risk. Mason reads silently. After a few minutes, he nodded. You should have launched this years ago. I chose security. You chose supporting someone else's dream. He leaned back. I want you to meet someone. That someone was Iris Lane. We met in a bright conference room overlooking the city. She had calm eyes and a way of listening that made me sit straighter. Mason gestured toward me. Elias built this model 5 years ago, then shelved it. Iris flipped through the printed deck. Why shelve it? My wife's career accelerated. It made sense to prioritize hers. And now I'm prioritizing mine. She looked up at me. Good. She tapped a page. Your framework is strong, lean, scalable. Why haven't you validated it? Fear, I admitted. Of failure, of instability. She closed the folder gently. You're already unstable. You just hid it inside someone else's structure. That landed. What are you suggesting? I asked. I'm suggesting you launch, she said. I'll see the first phase if you commit fully. I blinked. You'd invest. I invest in clarity, she replied. And you finally sound clear. 3 months later, my consulting firm existed, under my name. Not Serena's husband. Not background support. Elias Cole Consulting. The first client came through Mason's network. The second came through referral. The third came because I stopped doubting my own voice in meetings. I worked like I used to before I learned to shrink. One evening, Serena called. I stared at the phone before answering. Hello. So it's true, she said without greeting. You started a firm. Yes. You didn't tell me. We're separated. That doesn't mean we stop informing each other about major decisions. I almost smiled. That's exactly what it means. She exhaled. You're punishing me. No, I said steadily. I'm protecting me. You think building something alone makes you strong? I think building something honestly makes me free. There was a pause. You've changed, she said. I had to. You're really not coming back? Are you really ready to respect me? Silence answered. She shifted tactics. Softer. We could still fix this. I asked for boundaries. And I told you there weren't any lines crossed. That was the problem. She didn't respond. After we hung up, I didn't feel rage. I felt distance. Weeks passed. My firm grew faster than I expected. I hired a junior analyst, signed a 6-month contract with a regional chain. For the first time in years, I felt momentum that belonged to me. One afternoon, Iris asked me to meet her. She looked more serious than usual. What's wrong? I asked. She turned her laptop toward me. I have something you should see. On the screen was a document labeled Internal Review, Confidential. It was leaked to one of my partners, she said. Your wife's department is under investigation. My stomach tightened. For what? Financial irregularities tied to a development project. The same project Nina mentioned. I scanned the page. Budget reallocations. Questionable vendor approvals. Executive oversight failures. And then I saw it. Miles Hart, project liaison. His name appeared again and again. What does this mean? I asked quietly. It means the board is looking closely at her team, Iris said. And his fingerprints are everywhere. I leaned back slowly. For months, I had felt like the one losing ground. Now I was staring at proof that the empire Serena chose over our marriage wasn't as untouchable as she believed. I looked at Iris. Does she know this leak? Not yet. I nodded, heart steady in a way it hadn't been in years. For the first time, I wasn't afraid of what would happen next. The first cracks appeared on a Tuesday. I was reviewing contracts in my office when Caleb sent me a link. It was a business news alert. Brief. Clinical. Serena Cole, EVP of Hartwell and Drake, placed on administrative leave pending internal review. I read it 3 times. Then I set my phone face down and kept working. Nina called within the hour. You saw. I saw. Good. Stay invisible, she said firmly. This is their fire. Don't get close enough to burn. I wasn't planning to. I mean it, Elias. When powerful people fall, they look for someone to hold on to. Usually someone who already felt guilty for leaving. She won't find guilt here. Make sure of that. I returned to my contracts. 3 days later, I ran into Miles at a coffee shop near the financial district. I almost didn't recognize him. He was impeccably dressed, as always, but something was different. His jaw was tight. His eyes kept sweeping the entrance. He spotted me before I could leave. "Elias," he said. "Miles." He approached slowly, like he was measuring every step. "I suppose you've heard. Some things. It's being exaggerated," he said quickly. "The media distorts everything. Usually, Serena made decisions without full team consultation," he said. "That's the truth of it." I studied him. The smooth confidence was gone. In its place was something rawer. Fear. "You look nervous, Miles." "I'm fine." "You're sweating in an air-conditioned room." His jaw tightened. "It's a stressful season." "I imagine it is," I said calmly. "When the tide pulls back, you see who's been swimming without a suit." He stared at me, then turned and walked out without ordering. I watched him go, feeling nothing but clarity. Serena showed up at my door on a Friday night. I heard the knock and already knew. I opened the door. She stood under the porch light, eyes red and swollen. She was wearing a simple coat, no jewelry, no professional armor. She looked smaller than I remembered. "Elias," she said. "Serena." She exhaled shakily. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. She walked into my apartment slowly, taking in the clean space, the modest furniture, the framed sketch of the business model I had printed and hung near my desk. "You've built something," she said quietly. "I have." She turned to face me. "I need you." I waited. "The board wants statements from family members about character, about stability." Her voice cracked slightly. "If you speak publicly, if you just say you support me, it could change the narrative." I looked at her for a long moment. 10 years ago, I would have already been reaching for my jacket. "Where was that loyalty?" I asked quietly, when I was begging for respect in our own home. Her lips parted. "Where was that loyalty when you told Miles he understood you more than I did? When you pushed my hand away in front of cameras? When you whispered to him at midnight while I was 5 feet away?" "Elias, you want me to protect your narrative," I said. "Who protected mine?" Her eyes filled. "I didn't think you'd actually leave." "I know. I thought you'd stay," she whispered. "Like always." "I did too," I replied honestly, until I realized staying was disappearing. She sat down slowly on the edge of the couch. She pressed her hands together in her lap, like she was trying to hold herself in one piece. "I made mistakes," she said. "Yes. I let him too close. Yes. I underestimated what I was losing." "Yes," I said. "You did." She looked up at me. "And you're not going to forgive me." "I don't hate you," I said. "But forgiveness doesn't mean returning to what broke me." She was quiet for a long moment. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Something shifted in her face. "What is it?" I asked. She stood abruptly. "I have to go." The next morning, Caleb came over looking like he'd cracked a safe. "Sit down," he said. "Tell me." He pulled out his phone. "My contact at Meridian Group sent me something last night." Screenshots. He laid the phone on the table. "Miles has been messaging their executive director for 3 months." I looked at the messages. They were strategic, deliberate. Miles positioning himself as the insider who could deliver Serena's client portfolio in exchange for a senior role at Meridian. He was using her, Caleb said. The whole time, she was his ladder. I exhaled slowly. And now the ladder is burning. He didn't just use her professionally, Caleb added. He let her believe he was emotionally invested while shopping himself to her biggest competitor. I thought about Serena's voice in that hallway. "If I had met you earlier, my life would be easier." She had risked her marriage for a man who was negotiating his exit while she was falling for him. "Does she know?" I asked. "Not yet." I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired in the way you feel when something complicated finally becomes simple. She chose him, and he still didn't choose her. That afternoon, Nina called again. "The board issued official notice this morning." "What kind?" "Formal misconduct proceedings. She'll receive papers today." I closed my eyes briefly. "Stay out of sight," Nina reminded me. This is the moment she becomes unpredictable. I was standing in my window 3 hours later when my phone lit up with a notification. A news alert from a local outlet. There was a photo attached. Serena, on the sidewalk outside the Hartwell and Drake building. Papers in her hand, visibly shaking. A photographer had caught the moment her composure finally surrendered. Her face was open and unguarded in the way that no executive ever wants to be photographed. The caption read, EVP Serena Cole receives formal notice amid expanding financial probe. I stared at the image for a long time. This wasn't what I wanted. Not her destruction. I had only ever wanted her to see me. She never did. Not until everything else disappeared first. Serena's resignation went live at 9:12 a.m. I was in a strategy meeting with a logistics client when my phone buzzed repeatedly against the table. I ignored it. Elias, my analyst asked, do you want to adjust the rollout timeline? Yes, I said calmly. We scale phase 1 over 90 days instead of 60. Stability first. My phone kept vibrating. I didn't reach for it until the meeting ended. Headline: Serena Cole steps down amid ongoing investigation. Subheading: Assistant Miles' heart unreachable for comment. I let out a slow breath. Caleb called immediately. You saw. I saw. He's gone, Caleb said. Miles wiped his LinkedIn, deactivated everything. Meridian says they never formally hired him. So he jumped before the bridge finished building, I replied, and left her standing on it. I looked out the window of my office. The city moved like nothing had happened. Cars, pedestrians, deliveries. No one paused for fallen executives. How are you? Caleb asked. I checked in with myself. Steady, I said. That evening, there was a knock on my door. I already knew. When I opened it, Serena looked different from the last time. Not frantic, not defensive, just tired in a way that couldn't be fixed with sleep. Hi, she said softly. Hi, can we walk? We moved down the quiet street near my building. No cameras, no headlines. Just two people who used to share a last name like a promise. I lost it today, she said after a few steps. I know. The board finalized everything. Severance under review. Legal exposure possible. I nodded. And Miles? I asked gently. A hollow sound left her throat. He won't answer me. I figured. I defended him, she said. In meetings. In private. I told him he was loyal. I didn't respond. She stopped walking. He was negotiating with Meridian, using access I gave him. I know. Her eyes widened slightly. You knew. Caleb found out. She looked down at the pavement. I burned my marriage for someone who was drafting his exit. The wind moved lightly between us. I gave you nothing, she said finally. For years, you asked for basic respect. Time. Boundaries. I treated you like background support. I felt the old love then. Not sharp. Not consuming. More like touching a scar to remember the wound. You gave me something, I said. She looked up. You gave me the moment I realized I was disappearing. Her eyes filled, but she didn't look away. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. Good. A sad, almost smile touched her mouth. Still honest. I learned to be. She wrapped her coat tighter around herself. When you left, I thought you were trying to hurt me. Now I see you were trying to breathe. I didn't build this life to punish you, I said quietly. I built it because I was drowning. The truth settled between us. I loved you, she whispered. I know. I just loved ambition more. And I loved you more than I loved myself, I replied. That was the imbalance. A car passed slowly. Neither of us moved. Is there any version of us left? She asked. I closed my eyes briefly, searching for hesitation. There was grief, but no doubt. No, I said gently. There's respect, maybe someday, but not marriage. She nodded once. A clean break accepted. I hope you keep rising, she said. You deserved your own spotlight. And I hope you learn who you are without one, I replied. That night, she didn't ask to come upstairs. She just walked away. 2 weeks later, Iris and I stood in my office overlooking a new floor I hadn't imagined owning a year ago. We can formalize the partnership today, she said. Equity split as discussed. Expansion into 2 additional cities by Q1. On one condition, I said. She raised an eyebrow. Which is? We scale intentionally. No ego growth. No over-leveraging to impress anyone. A small smile appeared. You're negotiating from clarity. I like it. I'm not building something I have to lose myself to keep. She extended her hand. Then welcome to the next level, partner. I shook it. Not as someone's husband. Not as someone's shadow. As myself. That evening, I returned home, my home, and opened the top drawer of my dresser. My wedding ring sat where I had placed it months ago, after moving out but before making anything official. I picked it up. 10 years of memories fit inside that small circle. Late-night takeout, shared passwords, inside jokes, hospital visits, apologies, promotions, distance. I slid it onto my finger one last time. It still fit, but it no longer meant what it once did. I took it off slowly and placed it back in the drawer. Not thrown, not hidden, just set down. Closure didn't need theatrics. My phone buzzed with an email from Nina. Preliminary release granted. Your guarantor exposure has been formally cleared. Asterisk, asterisk. I exhaled. Another message followed from Iris. Press wants a quote about the expansion. Ready when you are. Asterisk, asterisk. I looked around my apartment. Clean lines. Quiet air. No whispers in hallways. No second toothbrush. Just space I had earned. For a long time, I thought winning meant being chosen. Chosen over ambition. Chosen over temptation. Chosen in public. I was wrong. Winning was choosing myself when no one else did. I turned off the light, leaving the drawer closed behind me. I didn't win Serena back. I won my own future.